Alright, hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel where now in this video episode, this is the first episode of JWT after introduction video. Here we'll try to understand about JWT. So let's start. So if you can see my screen, here this image, let me just try to explain this image. It's just explaining that this front end and this back end is interacting with help of JWT. So sometimes initially backend will send the JWT to front end. That's why it is both arrow, and after that front end will keep sending JWT to backend for authentication of some endpoints. Now this JWT will contain header, payload, and signature. That's what it is explaining. Awesome. Now if you have already know that you may have used this JWT knowing or unknowingly. So let's say you log in and to some web application, or when you use some secure endpoint, then you must have used JWT. Now let's try to understand what is JWT, but before that, this is the three parts we are going to understand JWT. The first part, which is right now I'm explaining, it will have maybe 2 or 3 videos. This first part to understand this, because I don't want to make it long video, so that you won't get bored. Now the second and third part is about the practical. So this is first part is concept, understanding the concept of JWT. The second and third part is all about practical implementation of that JWT. Okay. Now we will not be explaining JWT, the React and JavaScript or Node.js. We will be using them, but if you don't understand React or Node, you use some other language or other tools for building front end and back end. Don't worry. This is just about this first part is just about understanding that how you can utilize this concept to make any implementation out of it. Now in the second and third part of this article, which is available on Medium, I'll be sharing my link. Here I'm using React in front end and back end Node. But if you don't understand, even if you don't understand React and Node, you can utilize the concept I explained in the videos or in this article for implementing in other languages with other tools as well. Alright. So let's jump here. This is just an image which I used where I had a thought to write this article. Now you can use this table of contents by clicking any one of them, so that you can jump to the particular section which you are interested, instead of going through each one of them. Okay. Now what is JWT? Let's try to understand that. JSON Web Token. So JSON is a format for representing a data. It involves curly braces, key pair value, and the comma separated key pair value. It has some list as well, array list, which so this all contains is a format which contains the data. So for example, if I just want to show you, this is one of the JSON, right? This is curly braces, this is key, this is value, and this is comma separated. Multiple datas are here. So this means that this is a JSON. Okay. Anyway, this is already formatted as a JSON. Cool. Now JWT is just JSON Web Token. So it's a JSON data in the form of JSON. That's why it is called JSON. Web is like it is used in web applications. That's why it is web. Token is just for tokenization. Token is used mostly for authentication or some other identification related things. That's why it is also token. That's why JSON Web Token. Now let's understand what and how JSON or JWT looks like. So JWT looks like this. This is our JWT example. One of the JWT I generated for my use case, in which in this web application I've created, which we are going to create together in later part of the videos. Just hang on. So this JWT is constructed in 3 sections. See, 3 subsections. the first part of the JWT token is this one, and the second is this, and third is this. The first one is called header section, second is called payload section, third one is called the signature section. Okay, let's try to understand each one of them. First section, if you try to understand this, what is this? Now, before explaining this, I just wanted to highlight this part, that this JSON web token or JWT is encoded, not encrypted. Now, there is a difference between them. Encoded is you use an algorithm, you give input to this algorithm, and then you get an output. It will be same for every input, for every unique input, unique output you may get. Now here, this is like you have an algorithm, you give input to get some output, but it's not encrypted because we don't use any secret in case of encoding. So it's like if you have the algorithm, you have the data, you can decode it. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. That we are going to decode the JWT token. So let's decode the first part right now. So this also means that you should not use any very vital information to JWT token. So now you must be saying that, Javed, if we are getting all data are getting revealed, then how this is making things secure? We will understand this for sure. So please hang on. So this first part, let's try to decode this. As I said, as promised, I will decode it for you. So it's open. You just open this URL, and here you paste it, and you just click on decode, and it will show you. This is decoded, right? It is saying, the first part of algorithm is saying that, hey, this is your by the way, this, can you just see this advertise? Okay, today is awesome. So algorithm is this algorithm is used for the creation of JWT. That's what it is explaining, the decoded part, and it's of course type is JWT. That's it. Now coming to the second part of this, which is payload section. If you decode this, let's see what happens. When you decode this, you get this output. Now this is payload, which you have added from server side when this JWT was getting generated, and these are some metadata information for like when this got initiated, created, and when it's going to be expired. Now the third is, let's try to understand the signature part, this one. Now this is important. This is the thing which is doing everything for us. If you decode this, you won't get some meaningful result, but this is a signature. It's a signature, just a signature, so no new meaning right now. What it has actually, that how this gets generated, I just let me just explain this to you guys. Like the first part, which is of the JWT token, which is header section, and the second part is payload and a secret key. If you combine, then you get signature. That's called the third part. Okay, so this is the third part. Now during matching of when JWT token is generated, this is the way it gets generated, and then it will received to the front end. When front end sends the same JWT, the same process, the way it got created will be used to validate it. We'll understand that in later, in just few moments. Just be hang on. So this is it. So these three subsections I just explained to you guys. Now anything I'm missing here? No, I just explained that both header section and payload section are used with the secret key to give you the. Now let me just try to explain how this you will understand that this part where it is called why JWT is getting used, and we also understand that how to make it secure, how it is secured kind of. But before that, let's try to understand how JWT is getting used in any web application. So since I have already created the web application, which we are eventually going to create that together, if you are interested, I hope so. So this is the application which we have created, we are going to create. So let's try to understand that how JWT works from not technical parts, not technical in the in terms of is like not going in coding around, just try to understand that how a website uses that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is right now I'm going to log into this website. While logging, I will give credentials. So anyone in the, if you see any web application, when you try to log in, even if Gmail and anything, you give some credential first, right? Like username and password. That's what I'm going to give here. Once you do that, later on you don't need to do any give any username and password for any other services inside that application. That's where comes the JWT. JWT is like the credentials replacement for accessing other secured pages in the website, for which user need not to provide any credential like username and password. And behind the scene, for you, this username and password, there is another key will get generated for you, which will be behind the scene utilized without letting you know, so that you don't need to keep entering your username and password again and again to have a very good experience in the any web application. Imagine what will happen that if you click one of this let's say any, if I click here, I'm not able to access this. Let's say this is accessible, dashboard is accessible, but top hackers, if I click, I am not able to access it because it is not logged in. So I'm giving a password and username, right? Imagine that every page, everything you do on in Gmail or any other web application, every time you do some fetch other or click on any other interface in the website, let's say you click on inbox of the Gmail, then you have to enter the credential again and again. That's not good, right? We know that this page are secure, but it does not mean that you will have to every time enter the username password. So instead of that, JWT as a credentials behind the scene gets used, so that user need not to face such issue again and again. All right. So when user gives this test login credential, so what I'm going to do right now is I open the developer console and I want to show you guys what's inside this local storage. So if you see, this local storage has nothing right now, right? Here there is nothing. Now when I'm logging in, this credential, username and password, will go to server. Okay, the server which I was just explaining here. Like this front end is going to send username password, not JWT, right? It will come later on to backend, and backend will first check in the database that whether this username and password exists or not. Once that existence is confirmed and is true, then a response will be given to front end in terms of JWT as well as JWT token. We will come to the detailing part of later on. Okay. Now JWT you got received in front end, and that will get stored here in this local storage, so that whenever application will keep reloading, will keep going to different pages, even that we will not lose our JWT token, and the website can utilize this as a credential for fetching the data from secured endpoints, which is not available to everyone, but available for those who has the credential like JWT authenticated valid one. So I'm going to do that. If I log in it, this will first this test it and password will get authenticated by server, and server will give me the JWT token, which I'm going to store it local store, which we'll learn eventually. But let's see right now visually first. So I'm going to log in. Now it's logged in. What it is showing that this hacker user is a key and value is a JWT token is present. Now you want to access, you remember when I clicked top hackers earlier, it was sending me to the login page that hey, put some credential. Right now it won't. Why? Because it has generated a replacement of the credential which will be utilized when I click on top hackers behind the scene, so that it can fetch data for that particular page, sorry, to get the response of data which will be populated in the top hackers. Okay, now how we are going to understand this. So you remember EYJHB, just for fun, that this is going to be sent when I click on top hacker. To do that, to understand that, let's try to network tab. Let's delete this and I click this. One API call happens. This is happening. Now if you see here, I am sending that bearer token. So this, what is bearer, will understand later on, but this is the token which I am talking about, which we stored in storage, which was received from the server, is stored and is getting sent now instead of using our instead of storing our username and password, which is not a good idea to store in web application, right? So instead, this JWT token is stored, which is very unique to you when you are logging. So be very clear that it's not going to be something like everyone can use so easily. We'll understand how to secure it and all. So this one is now getting utilized when I am accessing any secured endpoint. So it means that which I'm going to access any secure web page, which is you cannot access without login. Okay, so top hacker is the page which is secured page for us, and this slash top endpoint is the secured which requires JWT. That's why we are sending it with credential in header section. Okay, now I think we understood this part where we say that what is JWT authentication and how this JWT is used for authentication and authorization. Now authentication, what's the difference between them? Authentication is like you give, instead of your credential, you give your JWT token for things. Now authorization comes into picture where you say that hey, this section of the resources are accessible to this particular user. Beyond that, it is not available. That concept comes in between, which says that this is authorization, like you are authorizing it, this resources, to the requester of the endpoint. So yeah, I won't go deeper in that, but yeah, you get that vibe, right? Okay, cool. Now let's try to understand one thing I just need to explain, which this section of this article explains, like how this happens. What happens? How when I click this top hackers and this authorization token gets sent to server, how this JWT token is getting getting validated in server side, right? As I explained earlier, that this is having three sections. If you see, this is having three sections. This is the first section. If there is a dot, if you can see, I'm not sure if you can see, and there is the second section is yeah, if I can mark it, yeah, this is the second section. Yep, this is the second section and third section. Now this third section, so what happens is, like when this JWT token was sent with this endpoint to the server saying that hey server, please give me some data, and I have the valid credentials for that so that you can give me that data. What happens is, like, first server will take the first part of this token and the second part of this token, and one secret key stored in server only. Nobody is accessing that in front end. It is not present in front end side. Combining these two sections and one secret key, server will first generate a signature. That output will match to this third section. If this matches, then server will know that okay, this is a valid credential, I'm good. By the way, on side note, it will also check the expiry date of this JWT. If it expired, then it won't say that it's valid. Okay, so let's say it is not expired. So if this third section matches with that output generated by the server, then server will say, oh yeah, you are good. Hey, take this data for whatever the use you want to do. and that's how we got response. This one, see, this is the response we got, which we are utilizing here. So right now we are saying that these are the 4 top hackers, because we requested only 4, that's why we got 4. If you see this here, we are asking that just give me 4 top hackers. Yeah, now this is the way how this authentication of JWT is working. I think I am able to explain it. I got it right. Now if it is not, then it will of course throw expired error or some other error, that 401. How this can be compromised, let me just try to help you to understand that. Let's say there is one very clever person. What they're trying to do is they are trying to just do something else, like if you want try to change anything. Let's say you are able to decode it, then you are also able to encode it, right? So you encode some different data, let's say, and when you do that, the signature will be generated with a different this first and second part of this will never match this, because the secret key is there, and with that secret key, if you give any different data, that will generate a different signature altogether, which will never going to match this one. So that's how it is validating the token, that it is valid or not. Got it? Cool. Now let's jump to understand why JWT is getting used. But this video is going to be long, so I will make it in. I will explain it in the next section, next part of this video, so that you won't get bored. All right. See you in the next video. Please. Bye bye.